Hi, I'm Wayne and this is Bassador Woodworking. Today's project is going to be the most complicated one that we've done yet. Today's project is a homemade strip sander. I do have a small 1x30 inch strip sander that I keep on the top shelf back there, but I never really use it because it's very underpowered. So I'm going to use a spare motor that I have and I'm going to build my own. This is a much more complex build, so I have drawn up some base plans that I'm going to follow. I just use SketchUp for this, and I will post the plans down the bottom. That's not a step-by-step guide. It will just basically give you what shell I worked from. While this is my own design, I did base it off of a few other videos in preparation for this, so I'll link those down below as well. Like most projects in the shop, this project is going to utilize a lot of scrap material, but it's going to be made primarily out of plywood and one oak 2x4 that I have left over from some other stuff. To begin, I jointed one side and one face of the oak 2x4 using the jointing jig on my table saw and my 4 1/8 inch jointer. Okay, so I just lost power. Okay, I got the power back on. We can now finish this. I lost the footage, but as you can see, I cut 5 8x8 squares and I am now marking the center on each square. The goal is for the bottom wheels to be about 8 inches in diameter, so I'm drilling pilot holes in the center and then using my circle cutting jig on the bandsaw to rough out to about 8 inches. I'm going to laminate all of these together to make the bottom wheel of the belt sander. So I just cut these all out using the circle cutting jig on the bandsaw. The blade I have on there is terrible. It's not rigid enough to cut the circles. It kept deflecting anytime I came off of the piece of wood. So I really actually very much struggled with that. But as long as the center hole is good, I'm gonna now bore these out to 5/8. I can then put a rod through it, laminate them all together, and then I can just hook it up to the arbor of a motor and turn them all down to be round. So the bottom wheel of the belt sander is going to be attached directly to the arbor because I'm going to hook a pulley to the outside as a drive for it. So I'm going to drill with a Forstner bit a 5/8 inch hole through each one of these. I can then stick an arbor through it, turn it down to make it round. Now I'm going to laminate all of my circles together. I have a 5/8 inch axle here. I have a collar on the end just to keep everything square to the axle because there is a little bit of play that I'm going to have to fill in with some epoxy to make the wheel join to the axle, but I'm not there yet. So I'm going to cover each one of my pieces of plywood with glue on one side, put it on there, slide the next one in, and tack it together. I cut 5 5x5 squares on the radial arm saw. So now I'm going to laminate these all together to make a turning blank. I'm going to turn the top wheel for the sander on the lathe because I want to put a crown on it for tracking the belt. So I'm going to laminate these together, let them dry, and then I will turn them on the lathe. While the turning blank for the top wheel is drying, and while the bottom wheel is drying, I can cut the base and start to assemble the frame. For a motor, I'm going to use this half horsepower Dayton motor. I got this when I picked up my lathe on Craigslist. I was originally trying to use it as an impeller motor for a homemade dust collector, and it just never really worked well for that. So I think this would be the perfect motor for this. The only other one I have that might also work is the old motor to my table saw. But that's 1 horsepower, and I think that might be a little overpowered for something like this. I have my motor essentially where it's going to go. And this pillar in the middle is what the sanding belt will run parallel to. So now I just need to create the back and side. This is the main frame of the sander. So now I just need to mark where the bottom wheel will be. I then need to drill 2 holes for the bearings. So I have to measure the outside diameter of my bearings so that I can make it so that they're press fit. The arbor is going to just be going right through, and then the cover that I have will have the other side to the support of the bearing. When I change a belt, I'll need to remove the pulley, but it's not really that big of a deal because the pulley will be right there, just covered by a guard. It looks like these are 35 millimeter bearings. So I hope I have a Forstner bit that is close enough to that. I might need to grind one down. A 1 3/8 inch Forstner bit gives me a really tight fit, so I think that's just what I'll end up doing. I'm not going to destroy this yet because this might actually end up coming in handy. I don't know. I joined the 2 pieces off camera using 1-inch screws. I did not use any glue to join these 2 pieces. That will come later during final assembly. I'm drilling a pilot hole prior to the Forstner bit because the holes need to be very precise and Forstner bits can wander. Okay, I have my bearings set in both sides. I'm just putting screws in to hold everything together. Once it's all fitted and tested working, I'll take everything apart, glue it all back together. I'll probably have to finish it with either some paint or some polyurethane. But right now it's all just dry fitting and sticking together however I can. I haven't turned this down to its final dimension or smoothed it out at all, but this will give you an idea of what the bottom more or less will look like. There'll be a pulley mounted out here that will be coplanar with the pulley back there, and that will turn this belt sander in this direction, pulling the belt down and back up. It's very simple, and I think it's all going to work out actually really well. That's a good place to leave off for today. This is nice and perfectly round now. It's just under 8 inches, which should be perfectly fine for the belt sander. Tomorrow I'm going to try to tackle the top wheel and then to build the top frame. It's all coming together pretty quickly, so I think this will likely be 3 or 4 episodes I was originally thinking we were going to be pushing like 6 or 7, but I think that it's going a lot quicker than I thought. So that's it for right now. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to keep up to date with new projects as they are released. And until next time, thank you.